cuties, this is Music and All, and I'm back at it with another video. Now this video is a little bit different from what I normally do because I don't talk about BL ships unless it's from the point of the ones that have sailed and sank. Now this video is only for fun, so don't take anything that I'm saying out of context and act like I genuinely don't care what these couples do because it's just a job. Quite literally just a job. And for those that do become actual couples outside of their job, we love that for them. I know some are straight outside of their job and that's okay. But I'm not talking about real life because I have a life and I know that acting is a job that can sometimes lead to certain couples coupling up outside of that job. So I hope I explained that to the best of my ability, but honestly I just want to be realistic and showcase realism here because I don't really care what these people do outside of work because I'm not obsessed. But anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So for the first couple, I would really like for YinWar to play Switches, but with a plot like Love Mechanics, which was their first work together, or Jack and Joker, and maybe Police in Love. But from what we've seen for Police in Love so far, that's very much comedy with a hint of seriousness like Jack and Joker. So I don't know if that would be the best setting to do it in, but definitely Love Mechanics, because Love Mechanics, we first get introduced to V, which is Yin's character, after him and Mark, which is War's character, like meet at a bar or something like that, where they end up getting drunk and Yin. Well, let me refer to them as their characters for a second. And V takes Mark back to his place, and they end up sleeping together. And V only did that because he wanted Mark to stop having a crush on his friend, which is like, what? Honestly, both of them were in the wrong at some point of their relationship, and I think it's based off a novel or something. I don't really remember, but I know that some people were talking about how Love Mechanics is only based on the first part of it, and how Mark ended up cheating on V in the second novel, or like had a really bad look. I really want to read that, but you know, time and place. Time and place. Yeah, it is based on the novel by the same name. Guys, New Year's resolution: reading Love Mechanics and the second part where Mark is a cheater. Anyways, getting back to why I want them to be switches, I feel like War's characters, they give off like strong bottom energy, but I feel like they could have a more fluid dynamic in their relationship, especially in Love Mechanics, because first of all, War was built. War had a little muscle to him when they were filming that, so he looked hot as hell. Like, that's my guy. And also, Yin looked very scrawny, so I feel like they could have played into that a bit. So I don't know how to describe it best. Like, yes, they gave Mark very much like bottom boy mentality. Again, I don't want to stereotype the gay community or anything, but they quite literally did. And I just wish they could have gave him moments where the roles were reversed. And I feel like the moments in which they should have done that, when V kept going back to Ploy, I think her name is, his girlfriend that he was seeing while actively being in a situationship with Mark. But yes, like, Hey! Mark should have had some liberation and freedom. I feel like if they could have done it where like Mark was a switch, but V was a top. So, yeah. What should have been? What could have been? I forgot to look at my notes for this, but I said I'd want something like Love Mechanics or Jack and Joker, where War is originally the bottom when they first meet up, but after the relationship develops slash a time skip or something like Jack and Joker, because that was a 5-year time skip, I think. They realize that their relationship doesn't follow set roles and positions, like no 1-0, no bottom top. They're just vibing and chilling. Yeah, I would want that. We love. So next is Poo Pavle, or technically, isn't it Poo Poo or Poom Poo? Oh well, because Pavle, that's like whatever. Anyways, and it's just like, guys, don't hate the messenger. But I know Pavle embraces that strong, muscular bottom energy, and he definitely calls out his fans for feeding into the stereotypical top bottom archetype, phenotype, whatever you want to say, regarding homosexual relationships. And that man, he embraces that strong, muscular bottom energy like his life depends on it. And I feel like sometimes they would eat up the stereotypical queer relationship dynamic as well. Like, I don't know how to explain it, nor do I want them to give in to the peer pressure that their fans are giving them just for the sake of doing a project like that, especially if they don't want to. But I'm mad. Look, just riddle me this, Batman. The vulnerable top energy that that Pavel could give, I would eat it up. Arr. It's like, I feel like he would do good in any position. Ooh, switching in positions for you. Or literally just keep the same template type character that they've had him play, just as a strong top, or just have him be a switch. Or actually, I would, like, if they were to play into the stereotypical like queer relationship a bit, I would wish that they're either both switches, or Pavel's the top and a Poo is the switch. No, well, yeah. Yeah, I feel like if Pooh would be the switch, I feel like they should give him like a playboy type character, or like a character in which he sleeps around a bit. So when Pavel first meets that man as a top, like Pavel would be the top in that situation, then he would think, oh yeah, I don't have a chance because he's fucking around with other people. Like, but in reality, Pooh's for everybody. Pooh, he don't discriminate. When there's a hole, there's a goal. Okay, next, number 3, Joss and Gwen. Hear me out. Hear me out. Just look at them. Just look at them. Oh, you know what? Max Tool. That's the kind of energy that they give off. Max Tool, especially in projects like Together with Me. Yeah, Together with Me and Manner of Death. That's the type of, they have the build for it, you know. And I feel like it would be uncomfortable for Joss, but we need more BL couples that aren't afraid to showcase a vulnerable side to them, because they need to switch up. I feel like it would showcase vulnerability and it would show range in his acting skills, because they're both very masculine men. And that's not to say that bottoms can't be masculine. And I feel like if this were to happen, we'll just put her out in the universe, which we know it's not, but I don't know if I would want them both to be switches or Joss be a switch. Yeah, I think Joss would have to be the switch, because I feel like he wouldn't be the type of person to have a character that would easily submit, like be submissive to somebody else. He has a domineering presence, if that makes sense. I did say they could definitely have a series where they play into a submissive top ex-dominant bottom to still give the dynamics that the fans want to see, I guess. Girl! What fans? Submissive top. Oh, you know what this... something like this, I feel like... Actually, going back to Poo Pavle for a second, I feel like they could do a series like Love and Leashes. Like the Korean movie. Is it called that? Love and Leashes? I know K-pop idol was in there. Oh, 2 K-pop idols. I think they were both K-pop idols. But yeah, they could definitely do a show like Love and Leashes. But yeah, Joss and Gwen, I mean, look at them. Please. Guys. Number 4. Fort Pete in Yesterday. So, I feel like this would just be so good for them. At the time of filming, nothing has happened yet to suggest that they're going to be switches. A week after episode 3 came out, just a little bit, they ended with some BDSM play. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And, you know, we love, as a certified freaky, nah, I'm kidding, guys, stress. I didn't know he rolled like that. I didn't know Vieier he was into that stuff. But I feel like in Yesterday, the series, it could definitely come after Vieier was chained up and locked in Kelvin's house. Because I feel like Kelvin would just be empowered to take advantage of Vieier. Now, I don't condone or I don't justify, I don't believe that anybody should be taking advantage of anybody in any manner, especially sexually, but I feel like that's something Kelvin would do. Like, force himself, and it's just like, because Vieier wouldn't, penetrate him, he would take it upon himself to penetrate Vieier. Kelvin already made him wear that leather strap that was given to him in episode 3. Like, what? And that was before the time skip. So what? I feel like Kelvin is freaked out, just not ready to admit that. And because Vieier is chained up in his house, this is the perfect opportunity to showcase Fort and Pete and be the switches I know they can be. They need to be. And this would also be a Love and Leashes type situation that I was mentioning earlier with Pavle. Oh, oops. Pooh's gonna get me for that. With Poo Pavle. But yeah. And lastly, but not least, Mile Apple and Ken Porsche. I mean, I think they were switches in Shine, but I don't really recall those last couple episodes because I was too obsessed with Kryler and Naran, which I'm still salty about because they should have gotten together. They should have gotten that happy ending and not Trin and Miles' character, I forgot his name, Tanwa. Because Kryler did not deserve to be baby trapped. But also, if he were going to be baby trapped, it should have been the type of situation where they meet again when he's older and his kid is grown. Like, obviously, I wouldn't want to have a dad that is cheating on my mom while I'm still growing up. Traumatizing, but just try to escape when your kid is old enough to understand that you never wanted them. Oop, gagged. Anyways, because I feel like it would have been more realistic for Kryler and Naran to get together, not Trin going to Paris despite not even being the reason why they broke up in the first place, and having a happily ever after in the year 2026 or 2025 or something. It looks like memory does not serve me, but as a D1 hater, I'm still going to stand by my statement that they shouldn't have been together. And this is why. So in the last episode, Tanwa sends Trin a book that he wrote about, I think, their love story or something. Again, memory doesn't serve me. So because of that, Trin read the book and called Tanwa, but Tanwa was too busy partying, so he didn't pick up the phone. So Trin was like, okay, I'm going to go to Thailand. He doesn't end up going to Thailand, but instead we see Trin under a bridge, smoking, just enjoying his life, I guess. Well, as much as he can without his lover. And then we see Tanwa walking up to him and talking, and I didn't like it because Trin was taking the initiative to go see Tanwa despite not even being the reason why they broke up in the first place. Nonetheless, they got their happily ever after. In my man, it did not. So for that, I will stay a D1 hater. But overall, I like the show. Now back to the regular program. But again, I don't really remember their ending too well because I was busy fuming. I was too busy fuming about the fact that Krylert was baby trapped. I'm going to end it all. I just can't. I'm so sad. And Kim Porsche, they were very headstrong characters that were doing things for their own reason. Like, Ken was motivated for familial ties and affairs and, you know, being seen as the head of the major family besides his dad and all that, and his dad's brother, while as Porsche was determined to become a bodyguard for Ken to protect his family, or the lack thereof. He really only had his brother, but that's okay. And I feel like I would have liked to see Porsche push back on his relationship with Ken sexually, because Ken a little freaky. And I feel like if they would have had Porsche push back because he's a little freakster too, that would have been beneficial to their relationship, and I feel like that would have leveled the playing fields a little bit, because yeah, they ended up being like cousins or something. I don't recall. Not by blood though. But I feel like by the end, Ken still had things to work out with his personality, and look, sometimes you could get a hint of superiority because Ken grew up in that lifestyle, whereas Porsche didn't because his parents got nerfed. Anyways, furthermore, I believe it would have brought out a vulnerable side of Ken that we slowly uncovered as the show went on, but especially during that forest arc where they were stuck. Keys. They were stuck in the forest, and that would have been a perfect opportunity to explore this. Now, yes, it's outside, and actually agoraphilia, or exhibitionist. Girl, anyways, the moral of the story is they could have been doing all that. You know, experiment. Take that off the bingo card for a second there. Take that off the bingo card. So let me showcase my vision for you guys. The forest arc with a switch sexual scene would have paralleled their current state by showcasing an us against the world's mentality where social/familial dynamics didn't matter. And when I mean familial dynamics, I'm talking mostly about Ken and the tension between the major and the minor family. Because, yeah, Porsche had his own thing going on with the fact that his uncle was a gambling addict, but who cares? And I say this especially considering Ken is part of the major family and has a lot of familial and business responsibilities. So like I said, that would have evened him out a bit. They could have been freaky together. And even if it wasn't outside in the forest, it could have been like right after that, after they got saved. Oh no, because Ken let Porsche go, even though Porsche, that dick was too good. Anyways, that's enough of me ranting and raving about these BL couples. And if you want me to do another video like this, because I'm a little freaked out, as we can see or hear, let me know, because I have a lot of videos planned, but I want to hear what you want. I want to know what you guys want me to do. So until the next one, peace, love, see you in the next one. Bye!